In this episode of Overbore, we talk about facelifts, the good, the bad, and the heinously ugly. And there's also one facelift that we think is better than all the rest. Stay tuned to find out what that is. Plus, we answer some reader emails and some reader questions. And then we go on a break for a little bit. But we'll talk about that later.
Then we piss off.
Then we go away.
Yeah.
And not forever, but for a short while.
Unless something bad happens on the way home.
Then it may be forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a cheery note.
Yeah, we're good at this.
Hello and welcome to Overbore episode 12. It's the last in the current series. Don't worry, it's not the last Overbore we're ever going to do, but we are going to have a little bit of a break.
It's not?
Well, I'll carry on.
Oh.
By myself. Got that to look forward to. I won't carry on by myself.
If Gary Lineker, we've had no emails from Gary Lineker.
It's disappointing. In the 7 days between
in the full working week.
Between us doing the last podcast.
Yes, and the weekend.
We just happen to be wearing the exact same clothes.
Yeah, we're pretty manky. No, we're not manky. It's a wash cycle.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
I'm sat a lot closer to you now than I was earlier on. A week ago.
Well, that's because we're in a Saxo this time.
Saxo. Your wife's Saxo. My wife's Saxo.
Which brings us to a nice conclusion because we started the podcast in your car.
I know.
Finishing it in your wife's
I am the
car.
main character.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You definitely have main character energy.
Main character energy, yeah. It started in my BX and
yes.
ended the series in the Saxo.
The Saxo.
The Saxo, yeah.
20 years in a Saxo.
She has had this Saxo for 20 years. She's had it longer than I've had my BX.
Is it not more than 20 years now?
Oh, 21.
21,
You're right, yeah, 21 years and just under 4 months.
You guys like long ownership of Citroens, don't you? It's your thing.
I wouldn't say I like it. She bought this car from a road next door, but one to where you lived.
No, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. And on the 20th anniversary, we drove back to the road that she
amazing.
bought it from. So it's
That's
the drive
great.
when you first pull in.
Yeah.
I'll tell everyone the address.
Yeah, that'd be really great.
Yeah. But it was just up the road from where you lived at the time.
Oh gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, so this is not quite my first time being in a Saxo, but it's. Do you know what? It's so redolent of its era, and it's so everything. Got some. There are some things surprising. Okay, so the plastics are quite cheap and tinny as you'd expect from Citroen this era, but actually a lot of the switchgear feels really quite. Actually tight and together. I suppose that's probably a testament to the fact this car's been really well looked after, to be fair. Well, you've been looking after it, so...
It's got... I mean, some things aren't like the...
Thank you for just completely disproving my point.
No, some of it, like the old... That's got an indent there. It's got indent.
It's got a detent, yeah.
And then indent.
Nice, yeah.
I don't know why you'd want it here like that.
It's just because French.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe is it to get... No, that's still rubbish.
We're doing that thing where people can't see what we're doing again.
Yeah.
It's got soft close. No. Actually, it felt like it was kind of trying to.
You're making such brilliant
excuses. It's because it's rubbing the carpet. It's rubbing the fabric, yeah.
Right.
But of course the Saxo does have, again, people can't see this, but...
That is, the poppy up air vent is very
I remember the first time I saw the Saxo, the forthcoming Saxo.
Yeah.
In what car? The AX's replacement.
Yeah.
And I saw the dashboard and I thought, I like that dashboard. I don't know what, I just like it. I really like that. It's really...
Yeah, it's quite
I've
funky,
always liked the dashboard, but it is an AX underneath. I mean, this is all AX. This is literally out of an AX.
Is it?
Yeah. So, and you've got cup holders, which don't work because you put a drink on.
Why would you?
And then you drive.
It's more of a cup holder for if you're stationary, isn't it? It's
because this is before the era where we had an incessant need to have drinks in cars.
On the move. No, it's perfectly designed for a Saxo because it's designed for McDonald's car park.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's.
And the rear wheels are perfectly sized to sit on McDonald's trays.
That was what the Saxo became most known for, really, wasn't it? To be fair,
it was around me, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm partial to them. I've had
quite a few yourself.
I've had quite a few.
Yeah.
I've obviously done a lot of work on this one. Mm-hmm. This is a 1999 VTR, not standard, as people can, if they're watching this, I'll be looking at the seats going, you don't look like you're even in a Saxo. Because from here it would look like a 106.
I suppose.
Apart from the rear windows. The shape of the rear windows is different.
Is it?
Yeah, 106 has got a kink in it. The Saxo's got a curve.
Kinky.
Yeah, kinky indeed. But these are out of a 106 GTR. These are very rare. These are full leather seats from 106 GTR.
They're very. I mean, I must say they're very comfortable.
106 seats are good.
Yeah.
The Saxo seats are appalling.
Really, I
Yeah,
mean,
they're really bad.
Even for like, I would not have expected even the 106's seats to be as good as these are, but these are really.
Well, you get the velour ones; they're even better because the velour obviously stretches more.
I suppose.
So you kind of get the real, like you're hooked into it.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah, these are so much better than the Saxo
really
seats.
Nice.
The door cards are out of a 1.1.
Okay.
The basic one, because it was the closest material I could find to the 106's door cards.
I see.
The door handles are brand new. They are the same as fitted to last very final run Saxo Furios.
Oh, okay. Right.
Not VTS or VTR.
Are they actual metal?
Yeah, they're aluminium. They're the ones that were used in the 106 Quicksilver.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, the later ones.
Okay.
But with a Saxo plate behind them.
Gotcha.
They only fitted them to Saxo Furios from 2002 onwards.
Right. Okay.
Not VTS's, not VTS, just Furios.
What? Why?
Because I think because the Furio had a plain plastic door card, it didn't have any material here.
Oh,
and
I
it had
see.
a cap where the window winder would be.
Right.
And I think to lighten the mood slightly, they said to Peugeot, "Can we have some of them metal handles that you haven't used in the 106?"
Because it was quite dour otherwise.
Otherwise, it was a bit of nothing.
Yeah.
And then the very last Saxos had a kind of silver centre console here.
Okay.
This one, as I say, it's got an alloy gear knob and pedals from a 206cc, which are the same as you get in a C2 or a C4 VTS. It has a handbrake from a 106 Quicksilver, which has an alloy button, a real alloy button.
Yep.
My favourite mod in it is the steering wheel.
Yes, you were telling me about this.
This is from a ZX Volcan 1995 that had an airbag. It's the only steering wheel with a leather rim that, with a bit of modification, can fit a Saxo airbag. So it looks OEM.
It feels nice.
It makes, that made such a difference to just driving the car. And when I first put that in, my wife, she was like, "Why have you spent that money on a steering wheel?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to sort your car out for you, but whatever." And she drove it, and she said that just makes such a difference. Leather wheels make a huge difference.
I always say this is something I quite often think when I'm test driving a modern car, funnily enough, is you can have all the cheap plastic you want all over the dashboard. Suzuki do this very well.
I remember you telling me this.
Have I mentioned this in the past? Suzuki do this very well. You can have all the cheap plastic all over the dashboard, and Suzukis generally do. But what they've been very clever to do is make sure all the touch points feel...
all the bits that you actually touch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All the bits you touch feel quite high quality.
Ford are normally quite good at that.
Less so recently.
Are they?
Less so recently.
The S-Max was pretty good for that sort of thing.
In the period of the Mark III Mondeo, actually, they were very good at that. You had a nice resistance on the indicator stalks.
No free play.
It's things like no free play. There's not much free play in these.
That's because that's about a year old.
Ah, fair.
Because the old one had a lot of free play.
What's this one like? There's a bit more in that one.
Yeah, that's original.
But things like Suzuki do it. You have a nice feeling steering wheel, nice feeling gear knob. You'll have, this is crucial as well. It's not quite the case in the Saxo, but around the door handle, the material will be nice, even if on the rest of the door.
It's a bit that your fingers caress as you put your finger in.
So you get this sense that it's actually not cheap. If you do a motoring journalist, we always talk about this, a motoring journalist.
And then you start doing this.
That's the thing. Motoring journalists will get in a car and start scratching the dashboard.
Well, I do that.
But most people don't. They don't bother touching these bits. So as long as it looks all right and passes visually, actually you can get away with it for most people. And then the clever thing that, as I say, Suzuki do is they make all the little touch points actually feel quite good by comparison.
Keeps the cost down.
Yeah, it does. And it's a clever way of making a cheap car feel like not a cheap car, basically. So, but I can't remember where we were going before that.
No, I can't remember. I think we were just talking about mods on the Saxo. But...
we were, but the chief mod is under the bonnet.
Oh yeah, I put a different horn in it.
That wasn't the one I was talking about.
No.
It's got an engine that's different.
Oh, the different engine. Yeah. Yes. It was originally a VTR, which is, for those not into Saxos, which is nobody because everyone is. That was a 1.6 8-valve TU engine, originally 90 horsepower, later 98, and that was from 2001 onwards when they became Euro 3 compliant. And then the best Saxo you could get was the VTS, which was the same block nearly.
The doyen of boy racers in the 90s. Everywhere.
I don't know what doyen means, but it was
the thing they all wanted. That's not quite what it means, but it is. That's the point I was trying to make. It was
the one to have.
Yeah.
I always about complicated things.
Yeah. You know me.
Is that Latin?
No, it's French.
That's kind of fitting then. No, Yeah, the VTS was the 16 valve version. So it's a 16 valve head on a TU 1600 block, funnily enough. That created the VTS. That's the engine that is in this because I fitted it. Because I had a Saxo VTS that was rusty. And my wife said, I've always wanted it. She bought this car. She was only supposed to have it for like 3 or 4 years. And then while she was at uni, and then she was going to get something else. I think she wanted a Clio 1. She looked at Saxo VTS later on. Clio 172.
Oh, nice.
And a Fiat Coupe 20 valve.
Oh, wow. That's an eclectic combination.
Yeah.
But, God, Fiat. Oh, I'd love a Fiat Coupe.
It's a bit out there for my wife.
I agree. Yeah.
For her taste in cars, that's a bit like, okay.
Cool, though.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. I mean, she said something positive about an Alfa GTV the other day as well. The old funky one with the line up the side, which even I can't figure out if it's a good looking car or not. But
I think they are.
I think they just look cool.
Do you know my favourite thing about those? I know we're digressing, but we will come back to the
That's not like us.
No, quite. We're very good at staying on track. What I love about those GTVs is the twin headlights aren't actually twin headlights.
I know.
The way you open the clamshell bonnet and actually behind it's one
the
you
bonnet's
just
the
put.
cool. The bonnet's the
great.
coolest
It's
thing on it.
when you actually look at the bonnet itself, it's a glorious bit of metal.
It's a work of art, considering it's
lovely.
a TPO underneath.
It's amazing.
It's quite a good design. But I think if I had one of those in black with the telly dial wheels, I think I'd quite like that.
I follow you.
Coupe, not the convertible.
Yeah, I would quite like one in kind of a gunmetal grey with a red leather interior.
Oh, that's a bit out there for you.
Quite a nice.
I thought you were going to say a burgundy with a cream leather
I wouldn't mind
interior.
a burgundy. Again, they do a really nice dark metallic green on that. With a tan leather would look. I don't know if they do a tan leather, but I'd like a tan leather. That'd be nice.
No, I think. That would be good, but that wasn't what she was looking at. So
I don't know what we're talking about.
And then I got an Alfa 156, and she didn't like driving it because it gave her a leg ache. It gave me leg ache as well, to be fair.
So you put the engine from the other Saxo into this one instead?
Yes, the VTS, which we basically, she never ended up selling this.
Yep.
Because we bought.
As we can tell from the fact we are in it.
The owner would be kind of surprised. They'd be very surprised.
They just walk out while we're in it. Go, what are you doing in my car?
Yeah.
We're just filming a podcast.
Yeah.
Can you just give us?
We don't call it a podcast anymore. It's a car chat.
It's a discussion.
Yeah, people don't like podcasts.
It's a filmed discussion.
It's a
chat. Fireside chat. Do you know that's what they do in the corporate world these days? They call it a fireside chat.
Even though there's no fire.
Sometimes they do a virtual fire. It's a screen with a fire on it.
I hate these people. I hate them.
That's why I'm telling you this, just to incite your hatred.
You do. You're making me boil.
Stoking your violence.
It is. Yeah. Someone is going to get hurt tonight on the way home. But unless the police are listening, in which case that is not an admission of guilt. If there are any deaths tonight in my area, it's coincidental.
Fine.
It's coincidental.
Nothing to do with you.
Well, there will be, and they aren't anything to do with me. Well, statistically, there'll be quite a few tonight. It's just none of them are anything to do with me. Yeah. There's a lot of old people around. Anyway, so
I feel like we've digressed again.
So, something about the Saxo, some bollocks. Oh no, so we didn't buy a house,
right?
Which we used to think was a mistake.
Okay.
But having then the credit, the house interest, the housing rates or something all went tits up.
Yeah.
And we would have actually been up the creek a little bit. So it wasn't the end of the world.
Yeah.
But, so we bought. So we took out a loan and bought a TVR Chimera. And in doing that, the logic was then that when this car had the VTR engine, it was reliably doing 40 to the gallon. We used to name it Old Reliable because it just kept going.
Yeah.
And so we thought, well, that's a perfect car. If you just need something sensible on the drive.
Just keep it, yeah.
Just keep it. Like, why sell it and buy something? I had his Fiesta Z-Tech S.
Yep.
And she had this. Well, I had a few cars. I had the Alfa. I had a Z-Tech S.
I'd just like to return briefly to the heroism of buying a TVR Chimera instead of a house.
Yeah, I did multi-drop driving at the time, and the supervisor tried to lecture me. And he said, "I can't believe you're buying a car instead of bricks and mortar." And I was like, "Why would I buy bricks and mortar? Surely if you're buying a house, you're paying the expertise of the person who put it all together. It's a lot cheaper just to buy the bricks and mortar. Are you stupid?"
I mean, technically, you could buy the TVR and the bricks and mortar.
Yeah, easily. Bricks and mortar would only be a few thousand.
It's not much, is it?
Yeah, houses are hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, that's it.
I think it's because someone's put it all together.
Yeah, quite. That's what you're paying for, isn't it?
It's the same as the car. If we bought a TVR in component form, it's a bit of exhaust pipe for the chassis, not for the exhaust, and then a bit more exhaust pipe for the exhaust, and then a Rover V8 engine and some bits and bobs, and it wouldn't come to anywhere near 35 grand.
That's true.
So what a knob.
Great.
Yeah, I didn't last long at that job.
That's funny.
Longer than I did at the car sales job. So we ended up keeping it for that reason, and then we had the kids. And then, like, it's one of those things where it's just like there was always a reason. We might as well just keep the Saxo. And then, of course, by that time, once 10 years goes by, she's become attached to it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And now it's got to the point where if you park it in the street and a car drives into the road, she's at the window like a dog, with ears pricked up. Like, who's that?
Love it.
They're going to hit my car. And they're not even in their car. So yeah, she's quite.
They parked already.
She's quite protected. Yeah, they went in the house 10 minutes ago. And then an ambulance comes in and hits it, and I'm like, shit.
Run away!
Don't tell her. Yeah, so yeah, she has got quite protective over it. There's a lot of memories in the car.
Ah, yeah.
A hell of a lot, and I think that's one of the. I mean, the fact it's a Saxo is irrelevant, really. It just goes to show that you can, if you have a car for that long, you take it through all these periods of your life. I mean, Christ, she would have been 19 when she got it.
Yeah.
You know, before she met me.
Yeah.
So her life got so much worse 6 months after she got this car. So
and this car carries the memories of all that.
It does. Yeah, this is the car I drove to the hospital when my first kids were born.
Gosh, really?
She was in hospital when I drove this there, and I was running late. No. She was going in for the C-section, and she rang me and said, "Where the hell are you?" And I was sat in that driving seat in a traffic jam in Otterbourne, not on my mobile phone, saying, "I don't know, I'm in Winchester. Don't have the kids." And they were like, "Someone's been rushed. Someone's had an emergency. You know, they need the room." And I'm like, "Oh, good."
Amazing.
So yeah, someone's having a bad time, and I'm like, "Yes." We've moved to 9:30, not 9 o'clock.
I think there's really something to be said for, you know, when you keep cars long term.
Do you remember all these little stories and things that ingrain into you, you know? And and a car like this, like she's not driving this at the moment because it's broken. Unsurprisingly, it's rotten. Actually, it's not broken; it's rotten. But she's not using it at the moment. I need to weld it. But she will always comment and say, like, it's amazing how it can kind of. If you're having a bad day, it can take you back, especially if you've got on the music you used to listen to.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, and it has changed a lot over the years. Yeah. Well, it hasn't. Because I mean, a lot of it is the same. It's the same windows.
Yep.
Same. No, it's not the same sunroof. It's a different sunroof. Same rear view mirror.
Yep.
Same rear window.
Yeah. Same dashboard.
Same dashboard. Yeah. So it's one of those things.
Look, I think you can get all triggers broom about it, but it's not just about the fact that things haven't changed. It's the fact it gives you that same feeling. It's the fact it
makes
the same,
you feel,
evokes the same memories.
Yeah,
it takes you back, like you said. It takes you back to a place of of you know, which with rose tinted specs on, you'll always look back on with fondness. You know.
Yeah.
So I love cars like this. I love cars that people have owned long term, and really, it doesn't matter what the car is. And I think
that's the thing.
I think that's a really important point. Actually, I think it's. It saddens me when I see people rubbish other people's taste in cars because you don't know what that car means to that person. It might mean something. It might not be the most.
That's why I can rubbish new cars
because they don't mean anything.
They don't mean anything. You've only just got it. And people are like, "Oh, I love my car. I've had it a long time," and it's like it's a bloody 67 plate or something. Like what?
Our Skoda is a 67 plate. It literally.
Would you class that as a long time?
No, it's not a long time. We've had it for 4 years though, and don't forget, for us, there are a lot of memories tied up in that because we, young kids and growing up and family holidays and so on and so forth. You know, it is a.
No, I've got 10 years worth in an S-Max that I'm about to cut up.
Well, there you go. You know, prime case in point. But I do think sometimes it's easy to look at the car and say, oh well, that's just a piece of old rubbish. I'm not interested in that. But I think for a lot of people, you don't know the stories that car holds. For them, you know.
Yeah. If you can. Well, it's a bit sad, I suppose, isn't it? You can look at it as for what it is in isolation. Yeah. And just have a motoring journalist give an opinion of it and stuff like that. Quite. But then, like if you look at all the car groups, the enthusiasts, the groups, when you go to car shows and things like that, a lot of the cars there, a lot of them are crap.
No.
A lot of them are just some old clunker that like you think, I'm not really bothered by that. But if that person's had that a long time, the story they've got about the car,
that's the really
and all the memories it's got, that comes higher than the car itself.
That's something that should happen, really, is a car show where it's not so much the car on display, but the story. If you do a way of doing that.
I don't know how you do that. Yeah, that'd be a show I would definitely go to.
Where you're not necessarily walking around talking to the people, but maybe, I don't know, you have the story on a board in
Not
front
in-
of the car.
yeah,
I don't know, you know.
I'm not interested in people
haven't
who've
thought
like
this
had it
through.
restored and
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff
not
like
what
that.
I'm talking about. I want to hear about the memories. I
Yeah.
want to hear about the good
Here's a
times.
picture of
I
us
wanna
on
hear-
holiday in Cornwall
I want to
15
hear about
years
the
ago.
picnics on the
Yeah.
beach and the sunny evenings, just driving
Yeah.
along, listening to your tunes,
And
all that
especially
sort
if
of
you've
stuff.
got one where it's got dents and things in it. It goes,
Yeah.
oh, we did that on a post in 1981. And I'd
Great.
be like, oh, you've got to leave it.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I love that stuff, and I think
Yeah.
there's a, you know, I think there's a real. I wonder whether I don't know how you go about doing it, but I'd love to go to a show and actually hear the stories that go with those cars.
Well, it sounds like you're going to have to organise it.
Oh, don't say that. I've got plenty enough going.
Overbore.
Overbore. The Overbore show.
The Overbore show is a show for cars. People will go, you like new cars as well, don't you? And it's like, no, we just talk about them because it's one of our jobs.
Yeah.
But
the idea of the show is that people are overly boring about their own cars.
yes, that's exactly what it is.
So they're overboring. They're overboring you.
Yes.
Yeah, about their own
Telling
cars.
me the stories about that, and I'll be like, I'm not very good at listening to people talk, so I'll be suppressed.
Well, you just hate people generally, so it's
I'll
actually the
be
worst.
yeah,
you say it's the kind of show you'd love, but I think you'd actually turn up there and after half an hour, you'd be like, oh, I can't do this
I'd be
anymore.
suppressing a yawn
I
all
need
the
to
way
go.
through it. Oh man, I'd be so knackered when I got home. If I go to a car show, any social occasion, I get home and I'm just
The
like
social battery has run out.
Yeah, I'm zonked.
Yeah,
I can come home from car shows if I have to travel for them,
Yeah.
100 miles or more. I'll come home. I will have a stinking headache when I get home.
Really?
I even have it on the way
Yeah.
home. Festival of the Unexceptional. I go home with a migraine every time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, I don't know if it's for the same reasons, but I find car shows always absolutely knacker me out as well. I don't think so much the social side for me. It's just being in the sun all day, wandering around, being on your feet all day, and all that sort of stuff.
I'm used to being on my feet all day.
Yeah, but I live a very sedentary life generally, you know. So I'm not, you know, I'm mollycoddled kind of desk worker. Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, that's
Desk
all right.
worker.
Yeah,
That's exactly
desk
what you're
worker.
going
Yes,
for. Yeah, it's fine. Anyway, we're in the Saxo. There are a couple of things we want to do today. We want to talk about, because this Saxo is actually a facelift. It's a very early facelift Saxo.
It is,
isn't it? It's
yes.
a very, very early facelift Saxo.
I forgot we were talking about that. Yes, it is. Well,
we don't have to. You know?
No.
We
This
can just keep
Saxo-
talking about your memories with your Saxo. You know,
It's
that's the
easy
whole-
to do that. That's the problem. It's
yeah.
easy to
Well, there are
do
so
that.
many. I imagine with a car like this, there are so many.
There are
That's
many.
the thing.
Yeah, there are many that come to mind. But no, this is it's a 1999 Saxo. It was built at the end of September.
Okay.
The Mark II Saxo, which is the one with the facelifted front end, came out at the end of August.
So it's a very, very
1999.
early
So this was
facelift.
built within the first 3 or 4 weeks of that. And when you see a V-Reg Saxo, they're most often because when did W-Reg come out? It would have been
I'm just trying to work it back because X is 2000, isn't it? X is
W's 2000.
X is middle of 2000. So W would be 1999 to 2000. No, that can't be right.
No,
Hang on.
W
No, that's
starts
not
in
right.
2000.
W then is 2000, March 2000. That would make V August 1999, wouldn't it? Does that make sense? Or
Yeah, I
September
thought
1999.
It was really weird. Most V-Reg Saxos you see are Mark 1s. But I'm in my head.
Well, they might be late reg. They might be ones that were late registered.
Yeah, quite possibly. But I'm thinking in my head, you don't see many Mark 2s. But now I'm thinking in my head, well, they should all be Mark 2s.
They should all be Mark 2s. Thinking
It doesn't
about
make sense.
Yeah.
I've got something wrong somewhere. But it doesn't matter.
We're a bit tired. It's fine.
Yeah, it's
we'll
fine.
just gloss over it.
Yeah,
we'll sort it out in
we slept
post.
well this week
Yeah.
since the last one.
But we've had a very, very long and productive week.
Yes. So basically, this is a facelift Saxo, and I prefer the original.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got us onto a conversation. We got me onto a conversation with my wife, which cars have been improved by a facelift.
Because it's rare, isn't it?
I think it's very rare that a manufacturer will improve a car on the facelift.
Yeah.
There is, and like, because the original car is kind of designed with all those features and proportions in mind. And if you start mucking around with them, then it can quite often go wrong. I mean, the Saxo, this one, has a bubbly, bug-eyed front end.
Yeah, I'm not a
But
fan
the car itself is
Yeah.
kind of like 90s, and it's like, oh, that looks a little bit at odds.
Yeah, it's not a great look, is it?
Well, I don't think they look too bad. I mean, it's in the VTR flavour. I think the 1.1s and things.
It's not as bad as the Zara.
The Zara is...
which was catastrophic.
The Zara is a crime.
It's literally a crime. Absolutely a crime.
What they did to the Zara... Look how they massacred my boy. I mean, the Zara was a pretty bland car anyway.
Whereas at the same time, Ford was turning the Mark IV Fiesta into the Mark V Fiesta.
Is that a facelift or is that a different model?
Yes, it is. It's a facelift. They called it something different, but it is the same basically.
But they regard it as a Mark IV and Mark V.
Yeah, they do, but that's just Ford being Ford, isn't it? Come on,
But no, I will consider that is a hell of an improvement.
Considerable improvement.
Yeah, that Mark IV.
I think the reason they made it better, the reason they changed from Mark IV to Mark V was because the Mark IV was such a sad-looking thing that they felt they had to change the model name to try and set it apart. But most of the cars still.
I liked my Zetec S.
Yeah, you had.
Which I alluded to in the first.
You did
one, and you didn't ask about it.
So, Rich, tell me about your Zetec S.
No, we're doing facelifts.
Okay, yes, but your Zetec S was a facelift.
It was a facelift.
Yeah, so there you go.
It was a W reg. It was one of the first ones.
Are you sure it was one of the first ones?
Yeah.
Now we know about what you thought about V regs on Saxos.
No, first Mark V Fiestas.
Okay.
No, it was a very early Zetec S.
Okay.
I can't remember when the Mark V Fiesta came out.
I wouldn't know.
I think it was W.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was about the same time as the Saxo.
Probably was. I seem to remember seeing press photos of them with W plates, which is that's when they came out. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean
there are some facelifts that are successful, and there are some that are horrendous.
They're few, and I'd like to invite some reader contributions here.
Yes. To contribute when we are not going to be online.
No. Yes.
We'll pick up the first episode of the next series if we do one.
Yeah.
Will be.
We'll do a quick recce.
We'll answer the.
We'll pick out the best.
Yeah.
You have to tell us what you think is your favourite facelift, and we will pick out the winners. And you will win 10 internet points for being the best.
Yeah, you can supply those. I'm not supplying mine.
They are entirely fictional internet points.
I'm keeping mine.
Well, no, they exist, but they're just intangible. They exist in the form of prestige.
I'm keeping mine.
You're keeping yours?
Yeah, I'm not giving them
You're
away.
Not giving them away?
Not in a bloody competition, no.
Fair enough.
No, I've worked hard for those.
I'm just more generous with my internet points.
Well, you can afford more. You've obviously got a surplus.
Yes, I have all of my internet points still intact.
Yeah.
No, so good facelifts. I can't think of very many. I mean,
there aren't a huge amount. My wife would. I mean, this is not a Citroen podcast, but my wife swears blind the BX facelift is a successful one.
Oh, that's controversial. Well, how we define? So here's the thing.
Depends if you're trying to be like, what's the word? If you're trying to be like overly
normal.
No, you're trying to appear to be like more cultured than you are.
Oh, I see. You're being counter. Yes.
Yeah, like basically like but Gandini's design was the little indicator and everything like that. But most people would probably prefer the Mark II.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I personally prefer the Mark I. But the Mark II is a better design because it helped the BX to much greater success.
Yeah, it obviously was more popular,
popularity and its ability to sell the car, it was much better. The Mark I is the pure expression of the design. That was the original kind of concept.
Yeah.
Arguably, you could say that the differences made it a more rounded car, to be fair.
Literally.
Yeah, it's a fair point, actually, yeah.
Literally more rounded.
Yeah.
Citroen launched the BX and Ford launched the Sierra.
Where are you on Peugeot 306s?
Facelift,
yeah. Because that definitely, I felt that improved the car.
Yeah, I think, definitely. I think I don't mind the earlier one. Looks okay. It's not a bad looking car, but I really like the facelift. Yeah. I think it's a really good looking piece of design. I actually think the 306 is one of the best designs of a C segment car. Yeah, there's just that kind of the flank, the curve between the front and rear arches down the side.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a really lovely.
So
really
subtle,
lovely
but it's really good.
Yeah. Go on, give us another one. You've got skin in the game here. So.
I would say some of them are very, very subtle.
Yeah.
Like the Fiat Marea. They facelifted that very slightly. I think it got black headlights and a slightly blacker plastic grille. So that's such a subtle one. You kind of think,
yeah.
I think unsuccessful.
Oh, there's a lot of unsuccessful ones.
Ford tried it with the Scorpio. Do
you know what? I think the Scorpio facelift lands in my successful category because it was so bad to start with.
It's slightly less bad.
Yes, that's it. They made it slightly less because if like a later Scorpio in a dark colour with the smoked headlights, the headlights blend into the colour.
If you get in a state, quite as then it's
unpleasant.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. A ringing endorsement of the design.
What about the Mark III Granada?
Mark III. Oh.
Because when they came out, you're talking, what, 86?
Yeah.
And they had the amber indicators.
Yeah.
And then the later one, which you had one, had the clear indicators and an open grille.
So they definitely made it more generic. I see what they did. They made it more in line with the Mondeo rather than Sierra. So in that regard, it was quite successful because they managed to take that basic design from the Sierra era into the Mondeo era quite well, I thought.
Yeah.
I think in doing so, though, it's a little bit like the BX. In doing so, they made it a little bit more generic. You know, it was a little bit less unusual, a little bit less unique.
It was a bit unusual, the Granada.
The original Granada got a floating roof.
Floating roof, yeah.
Floating roof.
Before the XM.
And the weird stacked tail lights were really cool. It was an unusual looking car. And I still like that shape. I think it was quite a handsome car. Very blobby. But, you know, we were talking about my old Granada earlier. I've had 2 Granadas now, and both of them are... What I love about them is they're very singular. Like, they set out to be just comfortable. And nothing else matters. And they are just comfortable. They're not great to drive. They're not exciting performance cars. No. But they are terrifically comfortable cars. Yeah. And that's what they aim to be. They've got big, squidgy armchairs and big, squidgy suspension. Everything about them is just big and squidgy. And I think that's great.
When I was a lad, a kid I knew, his dad had a Scorpio V6 Estate. Oh. And I remember going in that and thinking 2 things I thought when I went in that. First was, this is actually quite comfortable.
Yes.
Quite smooth and comfortable.
Yeah.
And the second was how good it sounded.
Oh, yeah.
It was a 2.9 V6 12 valve.
Yeah.
Now, looking back at it, that was a Cologne. But it didn't sound... listening to it in my head, as I remember it sounding, it doesn't sound like what I know a Cologne to sound like today. It was very strange, but I quite like that.
Well, no, yeah, they're really lovely things. And I've often heard it said about the Scorpio. The Scorpio is, if you own one, it's great. Because you're inside it all the time. You never have to look at it. Yeah. And then therefore you get all the benefits, you know.
What about the Rover R8?
No, for me. I preferred it with the original.
Yeah, same.
With the original kind of...
Yeah.
Actually, Rovers are a good point because, you know, there was a lot of...
That's all they did.
They just facelifted.
75?
I don't know. I think
no for me. The 75 is a no for me.
Yeah, because the original 75, although it's very chintzy...
Yeah, I actually think it was quite a good design.
I agree. And I actually think it's one of those cars that it sets out to be something and it achieves it. Do you know what I mean? You may not like the chintz,
but
it is trying to be an old...
There's a lot of nice little British, design touches in it that are actually very subtle.
Yeah.
I think they're actually nice cars. Like they're comfy.
I do.
I love the dash. I think it's a real interesting...
Look, here's the thing about the 75. It's a car that came out in the 90s when everybody was making very grey, bland dashboards. But in the 75, you could spec it in like green with cream piping. And
which you would have done.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think you could even spec like a deep kind of purpley burgundy leather, which I love it. I mean, why would you not have that?
To match your smoking jacket.
100%. And the great thing, what I love about...
Mr. Ismay, your car is ready for you.
But I love that. And, you know, cream dials. And
they were oval.
It's such a, like, on the one hand, it's such a horrendous pastiche, but at least it was different.
On one hand, you look inside it and go, ugh.
Yeah.
But on the other hand,
it was
you had to hand it to it. I just like the way the dash, like, it sort of loops into the door cards and it had that kind of shelf thing along the bottom.
It's interesting, isn't it? We spent a couple of episodes ago, we spent the whole time talking about 90s cars and how great they were, and we completely failed to mention
There was a lot
75.
of cars we bypassed.
It's true, but it's interesting how the 75 just didn't spring to mind.
We didn't mention the Puma.
We didn't mention the Puma. We did mention coupes,
generally
speaking.
I suppose so.
We should probably not get into the habit of now mentioning all the 90s cars we didn't mention.
So many.
Probably a bad idea, because that's not the theme of this particular
No, it's not.
fireside chat.
Yes, fireside chat. Fireside chat. I think, for me, the R8, unsuccessful.
Yeah.
So I like that original two-tone look there.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd love a 214 SLI.
What about the 800? The facelift 800.
No, I prefer the original.
I think I do too.
Yeah, original.
And certainly they managed to make
fastback as well.
I kind of take my hat off to them a little bit, because they did manage to make what was a very 80s shape, bring it into the 90s with some success.
To a degree.
Yeah, to a degree. But I still think the original is a much nicer looking car.
Yeah, no, I prefer the original. And to be fair, Rover, apart from there's a 600, they never facelifted the 600.
They probably made some detailed changes to it, but no, you're right. I think they'd taken the decision at that point that the 600 wasn't going to continue because I think they decided to make the 75, and so they just didn't bother spending any more money developing it after a point. Besides which,
I thought of one I like, and this could be contentious.
Okay.
In British
I'm
BL,
interested.
people who like BL shite.
Okay.
I like the Montego facelift.
Oh, I think I'm with you there, actually.
Rear light,
yes.
and they smooth the rear lights off.
Yeah.
And slightly roverise the front end. I prefer it.
Better.
And in a state of Montego Countryman. Whereas if you look at the old ones, they're just a bit crap.
Too much ribbing.
Yeah, just a bit too like, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that little crease, that little curve in the side that Maestros have as well.
Hey, if we're talking BL, car that was improved with a facelift, the Allegro. I think the Allegro got better at the time. Yeah, I like the twin headlights.
What, the one with the number plate on the boot at the back?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I like the twin headlights.
No. Oh, no, you've lost me.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
well,
No. You are wrong. I'm not having that.
Yeah, no, I like the later ones.
No.
I like the later ones. I think they managed to make... It was a hell of a tough job to modernise that car. Because you've got to...
And they failed.
Yeah, fair point.
They put plastic bumpers on it, which helped.
Yeah.
But
I think that's probably why.
Yeah.
I think I quite like the big... They came with a big old chin
But you like the Ital more than the Marina.
No, that's definitely not the
That's
thing.
going too far.
No.
You take that back.
No, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a fan. No, definitely not a fan of the Ital.
What about a very subtle one like the E39 5 Series? They changed the
Oh,
bumpers,
now that's
so
a really
one,
good question. I think I like the post. So it's a difficult one because the pre-facelift on the E39 has a certain period show. It's very 90s. It's very of its time. But the post-facelift brought in all sorts of lovely little details, which are quite commonplace now, but actually weren't at the time. Like the little LED kind of angel eye elements in the headlights.
They're awful.
But they look great. They were so unusual at the time.
No, because I used to work in Euro car parts, and we used to get people coming in with
them.
E36s.
I know, and it's terrible.
We got a set of angel eyes, mate. And we were like, we got the Hella ones, which are 300 quid.
Yeah.
Or we got the cheapy ones, which are 160.
I'll
have the cheap ones.
Yeah. No, but this
and then
is my
you see them
point.
later on driving down the road, one of them flickering.
So true. But like in the original OEM 5 Series, I think they look great. They work great. And also in the tail lights, they were one of the earliest cars to have like those LED light bars in the tail lights, which also I always loved the way they looked. So I think I have to give it to the facelift on the E39, even though the one I owned was a pre-facelift.
I think I prefer pre-facelift.
It's more of its period. I think that's...
Is the M5 a pre-facelift?
They did do pre-facelift M5s.
Yeah, I think that's what I'd have.
But it came out quite late in the pre-facelift run, so the majority of them are post-facelift, I think.
No, I think I prefer pre-facelift.
Another subtle one is the E34 as well. It did a very subtle facelift on the E34.
Oh, God, that is subtle.
Very subtle.
They changed...
widened the radiator grills.
They made the kidneys smaller and put a painted bit around them, if I remember rightly.
They were not as high, but they were wider. They went widthwise, which I actually think looked slightly better.
That is very subtle.
Very subtle, isn't it? Yeah.
Is that subtle enough for people? Do you think that's like proper, like nitty gritty nerd? Oh, I know one that I did. Well, would you count this as a facelift? Saab 900 to Saab 93.
Oh, well, I mean, if we're counting Mark 4 to Mark 5 Fiesta as a facelift,
I would say the 93 looked better.
I think you're right, actually. Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Didn't like the back of the 900.
So here's another. Talking of Saabs, 9000 facelift. Okay,
so the camera did not just run out of juice.
It's fine.
The phone is fine.
Okay,
it's all right. And I didn't have to delete loads of footage that was clogging the battery up,
the
hard drive up.
Yeah.
I was talking about Saab 9000s.
You were talking about Saab, and I was asking you where you were on the Saab 9000.
And I was deliberating and taking a very long time to say I don't care.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, but if I had one of the others, it would be the early.
Okay. Because you had a toy one.
And then, I had a toy one. And then I went on to say about the Volvo 440 GLT.
Yes.
In dark green. I really liked one. It was J-Reg. My dad went to look at it. He didn't buy it. He didn't like it, but I really liked it. And I prefer it to the facelift. Now, a spoiler and a dark grey, black velour interior.
Now, here's where we differ, because I prefer the facelift.
Well, you're wrong. And so we go on to the last facelift.
Now, hang on. Before you do that, just like to say, we are going to pick this up in the new series. I think we're going to have a... so I want you guys to send us your best and worst facelifts. And we will pick a winner. As we've already discussed.
Okay. Yes.
So
an element of competition.
Yeah, next series we'll pick a winner. So those are our thoughts on facelifts. You guys tell us yours. But there is one big facelift that's dear to both of our hearts.
Which is the ultimate facelift, I think, of any car. Oh, we didn't do the multipler.
Yeah, but that's just the worst facelift.
Or the best, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, quite.
But yes, now there is one facelift, of course, which is I would put my neck on the line and say it's the best facelift ever, because the car when the car was already iconic, and it's not, and people throw iconic around a lot these days.
Yeah.
Now this actually is
huge,
right? And it not only did it maintain the iconicness, I'd say it almost became even more iconic.
Yep.
And
its iconicness increased exponentially.
We should put that on a t-shirt.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know. I'm just tempted to let you say what it is.
You came up with this, so I think you should have the honour.
But
it was your idea. Well, I do agree. I absolutely agree. Okay, I'll say it. It's the Citroen DS.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, So here's the thing. The DS I fell in love with was the facelift. Because when I was young and going to the south of France to see my grandparents, that was probably the early 90s, and there were still quite a few DSs running around in everyday use, because they weren't actually hugely old cars by that point. We're probably talking 15, 20 years old for the latest ones. But the ones that were running around were mostly the facelifted ones. Even though they sold fewer of them, they were the ones that were left. And so those are the ones.
I don't know if they did sell fewer of them.
Do you not reckon?
No, well, so the facelift was on sale for less
time.
Weird nerdy DS facts here. Nerdy DS fact number 1: the facelift front end was designed by Robert Operon, who designed the SM, and the Renault Fuego.
Yes.
But the other thing is that the facelift, people think of when you think of the DS, you think of the facelift.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do personally.
But that was only around from 68 to 75.
Yeah.
The earlier one, the original, which actually was facelifted very minorly.
Yes, true.
Along the way, that was around from 55 up to when the facelift came out, which is much longer. But the DS enjoyed its biggest sales, I think, in the early 70s.
But yeah, and as I say, that's the one.
So that might be why you saw so many
probably.
about.
And that was the one I fell in love with. And I suppose it wasn't until this was as a little kid, and it wasn't until I was much older that I actually realised there was a DS before that.
I was the same.
And and when I sort of saw the DS, I thought, well, that's nice. And I do like that a lot. But this was the one I
went through a little period of preferring the early ones.
Did you?
Yeah, because I was trying to be all like that word again, where you'd be like, not contrary,
basically hipsterish.
Yes,
kind of. Yes.
Exactly that. Yes, I was trying to.
Oh well, the one you think you like is actually the one you're wrong about liking, the one everyone likes.
What does a la mode mean?
Oh, that means fashionable, basically.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Kind of, yeah.
I was just trying to be a little bit cool.
Yeah, a little bit
like.
Which means you like the one everyone else, you dislike the one everyone else likes, basically.
Yeah, Like it's more like I liked Nirvana before they were mainstream.
That's it.
Sort of thing.
You soon realise the error of your ways, though.
Not always. In fact, never.
Well, in this regard, I mean.
In this regard, I would have to say, he made the DS look more iconic than it did. Yeah. I don't think it worked in all ways. The interior on the early ones, I much prefer. The dashboard on the earlier cars, way prefer. I don't like the dashboard.
I like them all.
I don't like the late dashboard.
You don't?
It's just a slab of black. It's boring.
Yeah,
I like that one where it had a swoop and along. If you get one of the British,
cool.
the Slough cars with the swoop and then the bit of vinyl on the dash, like padded vinyl, and then the round dials.
That's nice. Yeah, agreed.
And then the air vents were kind of like
curvy air vents.
Yeah, they really butchered the dashboard. Yeah. I think they just tried to make it look more normal,
more conventional,
more slightly more modern. There are bits of it that I'm looking at it, by the way. Everyone thinks I've got a lazy eye.
We're looking at the Rich's D
shell. So I think for me, that's the greatest facelift of all time.
I think you're right. Look, facelift's got swivelly headlights.
It's one of the most iconic things it does.
I mean, before, can you imagine DS without swivelly? Well, obviously you can.
Yes, quite easily
because they existed. But like for me, it's part of the car.
Yeah, and leveling headlights as well.
Yeah. And there's that sort of they've got that sort of 70s French. Oh, I don't have leveling headlights. No. That's all right. I still love Audrey.
It's not right.
That's probably going too far. There's just that sort of 70s French Gallic insouciance about them that is just.
God, you're
just so cool. I mean,
Yeah.
50s and 60s DSs are lovely, lovely things, but there's something really achingly cool about the facelift.
Yeah.
And it's even more spaceship-like than
It
the
is.
original.
Yeah.
It's even more like a UFO.
Yeah.
I just think they're tremendous looking things. Again, they were the ones that were in Back to the Future as well. They were the ones that I saw on film. I went, my God, that's awesome.
You want me to blow your mind?
Go on, blow it.
But they made their appearance, their debut in Back to the Future.
Oh, 2. Yeah.
Which was set in 2015.
Yes.
Back to the Future 1 was set in
1985.
But they went back to
1950 something.
1955.
Yeah.
Which is when the DS came out.
Ah.
So they used the DS in Back to the Future 2 as a car of the future. It actually came out in the year they went back to in Back to the Future 1.
Love that. That's a great. That is.
I know. I'm
going to
do a YouTube video on it soon. As a filler.
Coming soon.
Yes, that will
Watch
come
this
soon.
space.
So yeah, I think. There's tons of other. You could go like the less successful ones if you're on Citroens. I think the XM, no. Xantia, definitely not. CX.
Now this is contentions. I like a facelift CX.
No, I prefer the early one.
Look, the early one is cooler. I don't disagree with that. But I do quite like the later one with the big chunky bumpers.
Yeah, got very late
Quite
80s
like
kind of.
And
look to it.
when you have that kind of two tone where the cladding's a different colour, and I
prefer the earlier one with the chrome or stainless as it probably is.
Most people do.
What about? Well, I know we're supposed to be moving off facelifts, but we've got so many good ones. The Sierra.
Now that's a difficult one because making it more conventional made it more successful.
Yes.
But also made it less good.
Yes. Less cool. Well,
for me, the ultimate Sierra was always the XR4i, which had your
not the Cosworth.
No,
really?
The XR4i.
Okay.
Yeah, because the XR4i had that unique rear window. The Cosworth just had a normal
pointless rear window.
Completely pointless.
We're going to put a bit of metal here to break this window up. Why? Because.
But it's the most 80s expression of it. It's the most of its period expression of the Sierra. The biplane rear spoiler, the funny little rear window.
My late father-in-law told me because he was an XR4 owner, and I've never known anyone to have the knowledge of a car like he has a model like of that model. If you look at the back window of an XR4, so you've got the rear window, you've got the little triangular one which is divided, and then you've got the quarter light window, which is actually the same as a normal 5-door.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, it's a 5-door quarter light with a smaller rear window because the front door is longer.
I see, yes.
Right, so it's the 5-door quarter light, and they have graphics on them.
I know the graphics.
And the graphic says XR4.
XR4. Ah, does it?
It doesn't say 4i.
Ah, it's amazing.
It's before they decided to call it the XR4i. They did the graphics and then went, hang on, we should call it 4i.
That is such a Ford thing to do.
Yeah. So if you look at them,
it's fine.
If you look at them, they all say XR4.
Yeah.
Not 4i.
Sensational. I like that.
Yeah, that knowledge is just you need that knowledge.
Yeah.
So I can give you nothing on a BX like that.
No, but that's great. That's great. We do need to move on because before we close off the series, we do need to answer some reader questions. We've had quite a few. Yeah,
yes, we do. No, it's not normal. It doesn't happen to every guy. It is a problem. She will tell you it's not. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say it. She's not happy.
So we're going to start off with some emails. One email we've had from Philip Lewis.
We have had an email.
We've had an email, but it's full of very interesting questions that I would like to ask.
This is from Phil.
This is from Phil Lewis.
Okay, yes.
Okay. So, first question. It's 1981.
Is it? Shit. I'm not here. I'm not even supposed to be born. I'm getting freaked out.
Pre-BX, you need 2 cars, both at least 4-seaters for the family. One primarily for family usage, and the other a fun daily for you. What would you have?
Oh.
Well, okay, I can answer this easily. The primarily for family usage is going to be probably a DS. Or a CX, possibly.
An 81?
Yeah, you'd have an early chrome bumper CX.
Okay.
Or maybe a DS. In 81, I might actually have a
How many
nice
kids have you got?
Well, no, all he says is you need at least 4 seaters.
Come on, Phil, specify.
Yeah,
get it together.
It's terrible. At least 4 seaters for the family. One primarily for family usage. The other a fun. So I'm looking for a fun daily 4-seater from 1981 is quite tricky because hot hatches had only just come along at that point.
Golf had been around a while. XR3, I think, had come out in 81 or
just
82?
About, yeah. But Golf, I think, was only 79. So, I mean, you can talk about
I'd struggle to say, to be honest.
It's difficult, actually. A 4-seat fun car actually is quite rare. I suppose
Depends what you define as fun.
Yeah, good point.
As a daily, I mean, like part of me wants to say an SM, but
I mean that is a 4-seat fun car.
As a daily, that's pretty torturous.
Yeah,
like that's going to ruin you.
I'm just trying to think. Not many people made that much fun stuff in that period. I mean,
Stag. It's not really a 4-seater car, is it?
Well, it is. It is.
Just.
Okay, no, I'm going to take that. I would have that's my 2-car garage. I'm having a DS and a Stag.
Really?
Yeah. That's me done.
Oh, but it's boring if I just say Citroens.
Yeah, that's why I took the DS.
I would go Rover SD1.
Okay, good shout. Can't be Vitesse though, not yet.
No, it's okay.
Can it?
I like the Princess, but
Princess
family car, but they're a bit granddaddy, aren't they?
Yeah, but it's your family
at the
daily.
Time.
Yeah. What would you have as your fun car? That's the more difficult.
That is the fun one. Yeah, 4-seater fun car. That is very tricky.
That's why it's difficult. I think actually pre-1981, 4-seater fun cars were very rare because you've had lots of 2-seater convertibles, but it's rare to find a 4-seat fun car.
Alpha Sud, like the TI. When was that out?
I wouldn't know. I don't know.
Funky Alpha Sud.
That's a good shout though. That's potentially quite a good shout. I suppose you could. In
a way, the GS actually would be quite the GS, like an X3.
GS X3, yeah, that's quite cool. What about something like you probably wouldn't want? This
no, I've got it.
Go on.
I'd have a Visa Chrono.
Is that pre-81?
I think so.
There you go.
I think one of them is, or the Millie Pistas. I think it's pre-8. Oh shit, no, I don't know.
So it's not a Citroen podcast, but we'll both have a Citroen.
All right, okay, no, I won't have that then. I'll have. I'll have a. When did the Vauxhall Astra GTE come out? The Mark 1.
Oh, I think that was 81. You might because that is the Mark 1 Astra GTE is a seriously underrated hot.
I really love the look of them.
Great, and they're really great to drive. Really great to drive.
Or Cadet SR.
Now you're
Cadet
talking.
SR.
So for his part, Phil has actually said I'd have a Volkswagen Golf GTI.
We didn't ask.
GTI 16S Ertinger and a Citroen Saxo 2400 GTI. I think it's an aftermarket. It's an aftermarket by Ertinger. Maybe it's an aftermarket conversion. 16S. What is that? 16 valve?
16 Superb.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be on a German car. Wouldn't be Superb.
I wouldn't think so, but I don't know.
And a Citroen Saxo 2400 GTI. That's quite a good shout. I like that. What car do you wish you'd bought? I mean, that's such a long list. We should save that for another podcast.
That's another podcast.
Can you do an overboard playlist on Spotify? Maybe.
We'll have to do one for you and one for me.
Each choose a song to add it to every podcast. Each choose a song to add to it every. So each choose a song every podcast.
Every podcast you announce
something
a
we
song.
Think about next series.
That's quite cool. Yeah.
3 contents in a breakfast roll. Which ones?
Bacon, egg, and the sausagey.
Black pudding.
No, the sausage, like sausage muffin type stuff.
Oh, so like a sausage patty type.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, that's a good shout. I think I'd have to have sausage, egg. Ooh,
caviar.
I'd be quite tempted by black pudding. No, not if I've got sausage. Sausage, egg, and I'm going to do it. Sausage, egg, and hash brown.
Oh, okay.
Double carb.
Double bubble.
Double carb.
Yeah.
Sausage, egg, and hash brown. Phil says sausage, bacon, and probably hash browns. Had too many accidents with egg yolks escaping. That's always the danger, to be fair.
Flip them.
Always the danger.
Yeah, flip them and poke them.
Yeah, you want. If you're cooking it yourself, you want to just make the egg.
Definitely poke it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, in a roll. Yeah,
that's
Christ.
it.
On a plate, maybe not, but roll.
Agreed.
Christ,
Agreed.
I'm an idiot.
Graham Smith has sent us a few proposals for podcast themes, which we can definitely think about. One of his is interesting. British, French, and Italian interiors are the best styled by far. Discuss. What do we reckon to that? Best styled. He doesn't say best made. British, French, and Italian are the best style.
French and Italian, yes. British.
Sometimes, not always. Definitely not always. Lots of British Lane stuff's pretty rubbish.
I quite like P6.
Looking.
SD1 interior dashboard looks awful.
Yeah, because it was built for cost reasons. Yeah.
P6 looks quite cool inside.
P6 is very cool.
Gordon Keeble GK1 interior
is very cool.
Lovely.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's probably a little bit of an Italian kind of look to it.
Well, it is, but it's because it was basically built at Southampton Airport, wasn't it? It's
Some of
very,
them
very
were, yeah.
aerospace inspired.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's
here's
a
the
Bristol if they were good looking.
thing. Yes,
That's what a Golden Keeble is.
that's true. And actually, a lot of I suppose if you're talking British, maybe you're talking about things like rollers and Bentleys and things like that, which are quite lavish inside.
Yeah.
So I like that. That's up my street.
Yeah.
Probably not so much yours.
I think French are ahead for stylish because there's a lot of Gacki and there's some very nice Italian interiors. Ferrari 240 right? But there's a lot of crap Italian interiors as well.
Have you ever seen the interior of a Lancia Trevi?
Yes. That's
just a bunch of
That's
holes.
just interesting.
It's awesome.
It's like a cheese grater. But things like there's a lot of Lamborghinis and things which are awful interiors in them.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at the French car, the SM,
yeah.
You know, even the GS, when the GS first come out, it's such a nice dash. So, yeah, I think the French are probably up there for the styling.
Do you think...
I think the Americans need a shout. Some of the American dashboards are absolutely bonkers.
That's a good point. Especially kind of 50s and 60s American dashboards.
Yeah, they were really out there,
really
some of them.
Cool. Here's a question for you. Do you think the French have a habit of, and this links into what we were talking about earlier on, making a good interior, then dumbing it down on the facelift? I'm thinking XM, I'm thinking DS, I'm thinking Peugeots. A lot of Peugeots did that. Peugeot 505, the original 505, had quite a nice interior, which then was less good.
They generally bring the quality up, but
and the style
tone the
goes
styling down. Yeah,
there's a running theme.
Yeah,
GS as well. GS is similar. Oh, hang on, no, am I wrong?
No, the GS went bonkers.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
GSA
when they put
was
that
absolutely
Coke can thing in. I don't like it. I don't like the GSA. I don't like the look.
Too wild.
I don't like what. No, it's not even. It just looks all over the place. It's just a mess.
It is a bit. I kind of like it because it's just so utterly crazy.
Yeah. When the original looked so good.
I'm going to look through some of the comments on YouTube to see if we've got some good questions.
No, they're all shy.
Kitch, I can see you appreciating a nice Saab 900 Turbo Coupe. Could you appreciate a nice Saab 900 Turbo Coupe?
Not really.
Okay, well, there we go. That's that.
Just don't do a lot for me.
The only Saab convertible owner I knew was into swinging and Everton Football Club. I'm not sure which was the dirtiest secret. I'm not saying anything.
Got a lot of Everton fans on my other side of the family, so
you have to be quite careful.
Don't think I've got any swingers. I'm hoping not. I hope to never know things you cannot unsee or unthink.
Somebody said B5 Passat North to South. Yes, I know. I cocked it up. That's fine.
That's Phil.
That's going to stay with me. Oh yeah, isn't it? That's going to stay with me forever, isn't it?
My dad actually had one of those.
My dad actually. There aren't actually that many questions, just some really nice comments. So I'd just like to say thank you for leaving really nice comments. And if you want to leave really nice comments, please continue.
I think what we do, from now on, I think we won't respond to comments and emails in writing. Although I will say, the guy who sent a nice email about when I said about check yourself.
Yeah,
was nice.
I do want to highlight that.
That was nice. Yeah, just a nice. It's not one we'd read out probably, but it was.
Just says James. There's no other name, and he just said thanks to Rich for the mention of checking himself.
Yeah.
Which I think is actually really important.
Because now he's got an excuse to feel himself up. And he needed one.
So it would seem.
Yeah, it might not be that, but yeah. So.
I think his email was more about plucking up the courage to go to the doctors, which I think is actually a really important point because too many men don't feel comfortable doing that. Yeah. And actually, it's never not a good reason to go to the doctor and get it checked because the doctor's only too happy to,
they want to put their fingers in you.
Yeah, and make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
It's never too much trouble, and it's never one of those things where you turn up and you think. I think a lot of men don't do it because they think, it's nothing to worry about. The thing is, it might be something to worry about, and it's worth just getting the peace of mind you feel.
Could be something to worry about, and you might, if you get in it early enough, you might find, I can smash that. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got that bit.
Exactly. Better that than leave it too late. And I think a lot of men don't because of the anxiety of what if it is something to worry about. Well,
yeah.
I always think if it is something to worry about, you're going to worry about it more if you leave it too late. And if it isn't something to worry about, the anxiety doesn't have to sit with you.
But another problem you have is that when you go to ring the doctors, and then you're on the phone at 8 o'clock in a queue of like 15 people, and then you get through and they go, sorry, well, our appointments are taken today, and you can I book one for tomorrow? No, you've got to ring back tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Can you just put me in now? No, you've got to ring tomorrow.
Yes.
This is what...
No, I don't disagree.
Yeah, so it's not all people.
Yeah.
Don't blame yourself. Don't be like, I'm not being,
No. But it is worth
That's got
pushing
nothing
through.
to do with facelifts, but yeah.
No, it hasn't. I was going to try and make some tenuous link between going to the doctor.
Unless you're going for cosmetic surgery.
Yeah, that's where I was going, but you don't really go to the doctor for a facelift.
That always looks worse as well. That always looks worse.
For a minute there, I thought you meant it looks bad to go to the doctor to ask for a facelift, which admittedly would look bad.
It would, because the doctor's like, I'm a doctor, I'm not a cosmetic surgeon. Why have you come to me? It's like when I got a metal in my eye once. So here, I got a shard of metal from a wire wheel in my eyeball.
Right.
And I had to go, and I went to the hospital because it was. But when you blinked, I went into the bathroom. Have you ever seen the Pirates of the Caribbean, where they fire the cannon at him and it's got all forks and spoons and stuff, and he gets a fork in his eye and he's looking around and the fork's moving about. Right. I had that with a wire. Bit of wire from the wire brush, and I'm in the bathroom in the toilet looking in the mirror going, like that. And, that's why it hurts when I blink. Because when I shut my eye, it was like really bad. So I pulled it out with some pliers, and then I told everyone.
Sorry, hang on, go back a sec. You stuck some pliers in your eye?
No, I pulled the wire out with the pliers.
So you stuck some pliers? Okay, I guess.
Well, I had to needle nose pliers. I had to pull it out. Because I couldn't shut my eye.
I guess, yeah.
And so I, and then everyone's like, oh, you got to go to the hospital. You got to go to the hospital. Eyesight's really important. And for God's sake, then wife's come down here. She's like, oh, I'll drive you. And I'm like, I can see. No, I'll drive you. Have you got an eye wash there? No, you're silly. So I went all the way down to the hospital.
This is literally making my eyes itch.
Went down to the hospital and sat in the waiting thing, and then went in there, and then she put me on the thing, and she goes, oh yeah, you've got a hole in your eye. Brilliant. This kind of thing. And she said, how much does it hurt? It doesn't hurt. Can you see okay? Yeah. Well, why you come down here then? And I was like, thank you. That's what I was saying. So.
Yeah. So do go to the doctor.
About your eye. Even if you don't think you need to. Better for them to say you didn't need to come here.
No, but this is the thing. That's what it comes down to.
I think what we'll do in the interim break, we'll do little videos where we're just responding to questions for people who've put their time into us.
We'll put our time back into them.
We're going to put our time into them.
We're going to put our time into you.
Yes. I'm going to put my time in you. Yeah. So, because we haven't got time to do it now. But I think in the interim period, we'll do a couple of maybe little videos of just answering your questions and things, and the emails, and we might even do it jointly and then edit them together. And we didn't know what each other's answers were going to be.
Oh, that's a great idea. I love that.
Alex is a knob. That's my answer. And then what was the answer to the question? What's better? Oh, green cars or blue? Oh, okay.
Your answer to every question is going to be Alex is a knob, and then you'll say, what was the question, please?
No, because everyone's just the general response will be, we know.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. Right, so we're going to be on a little break. I think probably we don't know how long, but a few weeks, I reckon.
I don't know. We'll be on a break, but we'll keep the socials open.
Don't worry, Overbore has not finished.
The beauty is that all the videos are on Spotify and YouTube and everything.
Well, the videos aren't on Spotify.
Oh, that's true.
The videos are on YouTube.
That is a lie. The audio files are on Spotify. But yeah, they're all on YouTube, and you can go back through them as much as you want.
Come and go. Look, you can do vintage Overbore if you want to.
Yeah. Vintage Overbore. You can say, I was there at the beginning.
I was there at the beginning, yeah.
Before it got big.
So if you haven't watched, probably Overbore 1's not that great, but if you
they're all great.
They're all brilliant.
They're all amazing.
The one where I'm on my own is not terrific, but...
I haven't done one on my own yet, have I? That would just be, oh God.
Well, I'm going to go on holiday later on this year, so I'm sure you'll get the chance.
Hey, it'll just be chaotic. 4 hours in, and I didn't answer the question.
It will just be an up and down video, won't it?
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably. Yeah. We're going to talk about new cars in this episode, everybody. Not really.
Excellent. But have a good break, folks, and we'll be back soon with more wonderful content that you just can't wait to get your teeth into. I'm sure.
Thank you to everyone who has listened and interacted
genuinely.
and massage the numbers.
I mean, we literally thought we'd have 3 people listening to this if we were lucky.
Yeah.
That we still don't have enough to make any money yet, but we
are some way off.
Some way off.
Some considerable way off.
But here's the thing: that we have the people we have listening to us is a huge surprise.
Yeah, the people who've come in from the back, from not knowing me through YouTube or you through your writing or anything like that, the people who've just found Overbought on its own, I'm interested to hear from them.
Yeah, I'd love to know how you found us.
Yeah.
Why you listen to us.
Yeah.
And the people who've come to us, through us generally, we're equally joyous to have you with us, and thank you for following along, and thank you for coming over from wherever you've come from.
Yeah.
It's really great that you're actually listening to us, so thank you.
We hope we're doing something slightly different.
Yeah. We're probably not. We're just talking. That's the thing. We're just talking.
Yeah.
What we do is talk. And if somebody likes listening to
generally,
us talking,
that's useful on a podcast.
Yeah,
otherwise, there's a lot of quiet time.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So anyway, we'll catch up with you soon, and thank you very much. And we'll be back. I've said that bit, haven't I? We'll
be back.
We'll be back
at some point.
It's a great ending.
Yeah, but predictable.
Predictably rubbish, basically.
Yeah.
Consistently bad.
Consistent.
That's what we offer.
Consistently average.
Consistently
below par.
And on
consistently below expectations.
On that note, see you soon. Bye.
Oh, bye.